Our next guest is an inspiration to women all over the world, including her home country of Pakistan. Filmmaker and activist Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is the only female director to have won 2 Academy Awards by the age of 37. She is also the first woman and the first person of color to direct a Star Wars film.
They always do this, don't they? It's like, the first ever. Insert gender, identity, heritage, pedigree. To take something that someone else has created and use it as a vehicle in order to push their activism into your house, onto your children. No, unironically, like, this is what Disney said, right? Like, this isn't why they got into problem with the Florida legislator, right? That is it. Because they said that they're going to use their films as activism. You know what's interesting about this? Because I actually thought about, no one cares about the first ever. If you ask people on Twitter, no, they try this, go to leftists, because allegedly they would care. Go to leftists and ask them, which was the first ever female superhero of color in a DC movie? See if they know, because apparently, like, it's like the invention of penicillin. It's like a huge contribution for mankind when $1 billion corporation decides to hire someone based on their heritage and their pedigree. Isn't it that, right? They don't know. I will tell you who it was. It was Catwoman. Why do I know and they don't? Like, what? I feel like an atheist lecturing to Christians, and I know the Bible better than they do. But the reality is, no one gives a shit. Like, for example, Alita Battle Angel, right? Did you like it? Do you know who directed it? I mean, without looking it up, because obviously, you can go on Google and you can look it up and you can see who directed Alita Battle Angel. I have no idea who directed SG-1, to be honest. It doesn't matter, and you get to hear about these things as if they're important. This is what really annoys me, is the gaslighting. Like, we all have to pretend that the person directing is so important. And when the movie flops, you're not going to hear, it was the first ever who managed to flop, who managed to tank $1 billion IP. They never do that. Why don't they do that? I remember, like, the female Ghostbusters. That was hilarious. Do you guys remember it? Oh my god, like, female Ghostbusters. Oh, first ever. Women only, like, Ghostbusters, blah, blah, blah. When it tanked, crickets. In fact, they get upset if you point it out. It's kind of like during the pandemic. You remember during the pandemic? Like, the question that I was hearing the most during the pandemic was like, but are you vaccinated? Like, everywhere I go. It was impossible to get away from this question. It was like the one thing on their mind. After the pandemic is over, when someone has, like, some complications, like maybe a heart attack, right? If you ask the exact same question, oh my god, they would be so feel like, why do you want to know? But why does it matter? But why? I remember, like, it was on the set of Rings of Power Plus Privilege, and the horse died because of a heart attack. Was probably like heat stroke, right? And I asked, like, but is the horse vaccinated? People on Twitter lost their minds over that. Oh my god, like, they were so upset. Like, why do you? What does this question mean? Like, they wanted to peer into the knowledge to understand, like, what does this question mean? It's like, no, I don't know, man. I just asked the question. Like, sorry, it's force of habit. Like, during the pandemic, I was trained to ask this question a lot. But it's the same thing with the first ever, right? When they announce it, you're supposed to pretend like it's a big thing, right? You're supposed to pretend that this is why people go see the movies. Like, it's not because of the story, it's not because of the plot, it's not because of the special effects, it's because you're going there to make history. It's like the invention of penicillin, right? Like, you actually go to see the person who invented it and shake their hand. And once the movie flops, and again, like, they will say, oh, it's because of racists online. Yes, like the $1 billion corporation with hundreds of millions of dollars into marketing and social media manipulation and PR teams, right? Like they are so weak. They're like Emperor Palpatine. They are weak against the online trolls. You know, all it takes is like 5 chuckleheads to go on Twitter and make fun of their movie, and all of their hundreds of $1 million marketing campaign goes to shit. This is what we're led to believe, right? But in reality, if you actually take their theory seriously, if you treat it as gospel, if you treat it as the scientific consensus, which is that if you put a director of a certain heritage and pedigree, then other people of that heritage and pedigree will go out of their way to watch the movie, it still wouldn't explain why these movies flop. Like, if you put a woman in charge of Star Wars, and then all the women will want to see Star Wars because it's a female director, even if all the misogynist pigs in the world would refuse to watch it, just by having like all of the female demographic going to see your movie, right? Like your grandmother, your mother would go to see Star Wars. If that was the case, they would still make a profit. But the reality is that their movies are shit because they do not put entertainment first. They put activism first. I mean, this is literally what they are doing. They're putting, apparently, a journalist and former activist in charge of making Star Wars. Now, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest, because I myself can be considered an agitator, right? Like I try to do activism for my cause, which is to bring back entertainment into the West, because we have entertainment coming from South Korea and other places that are diverse. It's just that America isn't capable of producing anymore. But I can put aside my activism if I am to create a story, right? Like, those of you who will play my video game will notice that I have the capability of setting aside my biases, my prejudices, my you know, because everyone has them. Like, everyone has a way they view the world. Everyone has, like, their own ideas and opinions. But I can put them aside, and I can focus on creating an immersive universe that has the sole purpose of entertaining the audience. And sometimes, you know, you can have like a message that you want people to get. Like, for example, in Naruto, you want people to understand the power of friendship. But the message itself needs to be undivisive. Like you're not trying to push religion into it. You're not trying to push politics. No, you're pushing the power of friendship. Who the fuck disagrees with that? And if you have like some chuckleheads that disagree with that, like, they're going to be into a small fringe minority, right? But like, you can have the message, and then you can create the story around the message, and it can still be entertaining. But unfortunately, this is not what we're seeing. This is not what they are doing. They are like pushing the same tired message, which is social justice, that they keep repackaging and renaming and trying their best in order to get it. You know, like, for example, in the last Star Wars, where the one that came before that, actually, you know, where they go on a planet where it's infested with capitalismus, and it shows the oppression that the people are suffering. And when you're looking at it, it doesn't connect to any of the other plot points. It just comes out of the blue, right? It's like, oh, we need to free the animals, because the animals, so you know, like, the vegans get on the checkbox as well. And it's like, cringe. Immersion breaking. Like, what the fuck? You know, but anyway, it is what it is. I do not think that the new Star Wars is going to be good. The way they're promoting it tells me that it's not going to be good. Like, think about it this way, right? When a new anime comes out, like when Attack on Titan came out, I mean, that was successful, right? Did Japan go, it's like, oh, we're going to put the Force ever? No, it's like, you get to see a trailer. And what was in the trailer? It was people fighting titans and massive walls, and it was intriguing, right? And the sound was amazing, and the character design was great, right? Like that. Game of Thrones, like, did they went and they say, oh, we have the first ever blonde emperor child and female with white hair and dragons? Like, no, they didn't do that, right? Because no one gives a shit. You get to see, like, the cool wall of ice. You get to see the White Walkers. You get to see that medieval society. And that's what attracted people to Game of Thrones. In other words, they showed the story. They showed the setting. They're trying to make it cool. Do you guys remember when Star Wars The Phantom Menace came out? What was it, like, the first ever? Or did they just show how they went under the ocean? and there's like this giant fish, and then you have Jedis doing all sorts of cool shit, right? Like this is not the way that you promote a movie that you know has good stuff in it. Because when the movie has good stuff in it, you let the stuff speak for itself. When the movie has nothing in it, you're like, oh, it's the first ever. And it's like, okay, well, congratulations, Disney. I hope you flop. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.